Hey everybody, this is Adam Maitland from Customized Teachables. Today I want to talk to you about a consult that I had with a 4th and 5th grade special ed teacher. She was struggling with one of the curriculums, one of the research-based curriculums that she's using in her classroom, and it just wasn't getting her the results she was looking for. Plus, she was struggling to meet all the expectations that were expected off of the rubric that were used and evaluated by. So we were able to sit down and kind of walk through her lesson. She told me all the components that were important, that were a necessity to keep with fidelity. And then we were able to break it down into what we could do to make it, one, a little bit more interesting, to make it, two, more impactful for the students, and three, really get them more exposed to some grade level text as well as a way to apply their skills, because the best way to learn anything is to not just hear it in repetitive instruction with that drill and skill method, but also make sure that we're applying it to real text to see that there's purpose behind it. So one of the things we did after she walked me through her entire lesson, I had my notepad out and I sat there and I kind of doodled what I thought the new layout would look like. So she wanted to make sure there was handwriting because her students still struggle with that, but she also wanted to make sure it was open for not just manuscript, but also cursive. So I wanted to make sure that was highlighted. But then she wanted to be able to review the vowels. She wanted to make sure there was a review of previous skills learned and current skills learned, as well as future skills that will be coming up. And then to have some decoding words that would build up for the day, because that was also part of that curriculum. And then make sure that there was a spot for spelling, because she would have 6 spelling words that she wanted to make sure she was able to teach and go through each day, and then have her sight words built up, and then have all that kind of come together to write a sentence with dictation. And then she also wanted to add in a component with the grammar skill, because as much as it's important to be able to read and write, we also want to know the grammar rules and how the sentence is structured and all those components. So we talked about kind of a pacing guide and that scope and sequence concept of what this might look like throughout the year. And then I put together the layout for her. We looked at a couple different workbooks. I'm really good at finding workbooks that I like, that I feel are aligned to maybe the Common Core or state standards, but also have that complex text with rich content in it, because we don't want to just be reading stories or word count. We want to make sure that there is that rich content, that there's a purpose behind it. I like to focus the text that I read in my classroom around science or social studies, because that seems to be the times or the subjects that get the least amount of time. So I want to highlight them and put them on the spotlight as much as I can, both in reading and math, which is in other videos you've seen why I focus so much on STEM projects. But what we ended up coming up with is a 2-sheet scenario. So these will be posted up on the Facebook page so you can check them out a little bit closer. But on this first page, we have the part for the handwriting. And instead of putting set letters, I left it open so that she can do intervals. She can go from manuscript to cursive. She can do all cursive or all manuscript, whatever she's choosing to do. The cool concept behind this is that we made it so this one page will last for 5 days. So the kids can constantly use their skills and build upon what they're learning each day. Down here, they'll always practice their vowel sounds. They can do the short and long. They will have this filled in with whatever skills are going to be reviewed for that unit. Then there'll be a highlight of what skill is being focused on for that day. Then we put 5 days worth of boxes, and this is where the teacher will be able to go in and put in the words that she wants to practice decoding with the kids each day. Now, some of the words will be pulled from the passage they're going to work on for that week, and some of them, if the passage doesn't have the words matching up with that skill, will just be part of their spelling words or additional words that they can use to see that skill being used. And this, again, will be covered over 5 days. Down here is the spelling portion, And so what we did was we put in the boxes so that if you're teaching a skill or you're teaching a pattern and the kids are struggling with it, you can use these boxes to highlight, okay, we're going to do a consonant, vowel, consonant word, or whatever the word buildup is. So then there's 5 lines, again, 1 for each day. And the goal would be to get their handwriting more under control so that they can either fit the 6 words on there, or so that by the end of the week, all the words are written nicely, spaced correctly, and it looks strong as a complete writing sample. Then down here, you would have the sight word practice, and this leaves her open to teach it as, let's just read them together, let me do a data check and have each kid read it to me, and I can see which ones are recalling. It really gives a lot of flexibility on how you want to put it into play. Down here is for sentence dictation, and again, there's a line for each day, or it could just kind of build. We talked about using the spelling words, using the sight words together to create 5 sentences for the week. And since this is a 4th and 5th grade class, I've worked on this concept in my class, which is K to 2nd, but if there's a way, and sometimes there's not, you put the 5 sentences in a topic so that by the end of it, they are having 5 sentences that kind of build together, and by the end of the week, they've written a paragraph. So it kind of builds into those 2 components, because then on Friday you can talk about the topic sentence, the supporting details, and an ending sentence, and kind of build in a little mini writing lesson on that. Down here is a spot for, again, 5 days worth of grammar sentences, and this is where the grammar practice would be put in. It could be fill in the blank, it could be multiple choice, it could be circle the correct word to complete the sentence. Just kind of a quick, this is our grammar skill, I want you to practice it, and let's put it into place. On the second page is the story that the students would focus on for that week. Now, one of the things that I talked with her about is you really want to try to get grade level text in these kids' hands, because especially when it gets time for state testing, they're not going to get modified text. They're going to have to read grade level or above grade level text. So we want to make sure that we're preparing them for that. Even if it's read aloud, even if it's read by the computer, we want to make sure our students have every chance to be exposed to what they need to succeed. So this one is a 4th grade level passage, and we also created another sheet with a 5th grade passage. So this sheet can always say the same for 4th and 5th grade, but then when it comes time to doing a reading passage, you have it differentiated per grade level. And then over here is a question for each day to focus on. So the first day, you might read the whole thing to the students, or they might read the whole thing to you, depending on their level. And that really kind of builds up hearing it as a complete text. Then they would answer their first question. Day 2, it's broken down into 4 boxes. So day 2, they'll only read this box, and then they'll do a question that correlates to it. And the questions are built to have that or require that text evidence. Now, we decided by talking that we wanted to have kind of a combo, multiple choice and an open response. So we did 2 multiple choice. So day 1 and day 2 would be multiple choice, and then 3, 4, and 5 are going to have that written response set up. And that can vary depending on the story you're reading or what you're wanting to work on with your students for that week. So this was just something that we had put together for a 4th, 5th grade special ed classroom. I still feel it could be used in a gen ed classroom, maybe just the handwriting lines, or maybe up the question a little bit depending on who you're working with, or even for your low students in a gen ed classroom to again give them that opportunity to be successful with grade level text. But with that consult, it went really well. The teacher was very happy, and she felt very confident that this was a format she could take and continue to reproduce for each week and not feel like I don't get how the program works or how to change what I need to change. So I wanted to make sure that it was very easy for her to do that. So any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave it. Also, check out Customized Teachables page and set up your free consult to see what we can do for you in your classroom. Have a great day. Bye.